Wouldn't it be amazing if it just blew up right now, just quit like it did last time? Then I would send it to Whistling Diesel to just blow it up. 7, 8. 9. 1,000,000 miles. Yes. All right. Yes, pulling up to the local Ram dealership to turn in my 1,000,000-mile truck for science and then claim my new truck. Welcome to Hoovie's Garage, the dumbest automotive channel in all of YouTube, and today should finally be today. Thanks to great expense, this Dodge should finally go over 1,000,000 miles today. That's at 999,994. So we are 6 miles away from it crossing the threshold of 1,000,000 miles, and we are going to have a huge celebration. But first, let's talk about why my wallet got so much lighter. I have the invoice right here from Platinum PDR Plus Paint. A big thanks to them. They're a mechanic shop too. That's where Dennis, my tow truck driver, takes his trucks to get service. So that's why it went there, because the wizard, well, he didn't know what happened to the truck other than the fuel system was all acting up, and he's not a diesel guy and he doesn't like farm trucks, so he did not want to work on it. But the grand total was $4,000. So I bought this thing with 994,000 miles on it. It had a couple $1,000 worth of repairs it needed, some urgent leaks and things. And then 100 miles short of the finish line, I was towing a trailer to a racetrack with a car on the back, and it completely took a dump. We had to tow it the last mile and then tow it all the way back to the car wizard. So for me to drive it not quite 6,000 miles cost me not quite $6,000. So quite stupid. I considered lighting this thing on fire and saying, no, I'm not spending this kind of money, but you know, it kind of happened in little stages. So we thought the problem was just going to be with the fuel pressure limiter, but we put that on and it was still acting up. That failure apparently of the fuel pressure limiter caused everything to go haywire, and the old injection pump, which was original with 999,000 miles on it, did fail. And with the limiter going crazy after that was replaced, it was obvious that the injectors had blown up as well. Some of those injectors were original to the car. They had 2003 date codes on them, which is absolutely insane. Almost 20 years old, almost 1,000,000 miles, and they were the original injectors. So that, along with a few new leaks from the transfer case and a transmission mount which had been leaked all over and perished, the total was $3,996.36 to get this truck to where it is, which basically drives like brand new. Unfortunately, the rust on the back has gotten a little worse in the year that we've had it, but I've used it today as a truck. I dropped off the original exhaust parts for my old Lamborghini Diablo because the new owner needs them, because he's in an emission state. He needs the catalytic converters and all that stuff, so he's gonna put those back on. And then I also picked up the wheels for my Z8. They've been at Johnny's the Car Ninjas for 6 to 8 months. So I did truck things with it, but now we're going to drive it over the 1,000,000-mile mark and have a big celebration. This also happens to be close to the 1-year anniversary of me owning this truck. And there's a few other cars here that are coming up on their 1-year anniversary that have also been very, very expensive to own. But first, let's get this thing over the finish line, shall we? But before we drive to 1,000,000 miles in a truck that I spent way too much money on, I'd like to thank Rocket Money for sponsoring today's video. Recently, I had a debacle with one of my payment services that has most of my small subscriptions on it, so I had to switch it to my joint account, and the little $2 to $20 a month charges popping up every few days was driving my wife crazy. I hadn't paid too much attention to it myself and couldn't believe, once I started to track my monthly expenses, how much money was going out in small amounts every month. Today's sponsor is Rocket Money, formerly Truebill, and they can really help you out with this. Rocket Money is an all-in-one finance platform that helps you save money and spend less. Their personal finance manager allows you to manage subscriptions, lower bills, monitor your credit score, and build savings all in one place. I used Rocket Money to help me cancel all the subscriptions that I wasn't using, apps that I hadn't watched shows on for months that I no longer needed, along with their credit monitoring service, and they give me a template to track my total net worth and help grow in areas other than hoopty buying. To save more and spend less, join 3.4 million members using Rocket Money, and I've got the hookup. Go to rocketmoney.com/Hoovie or click the link in the description to get started for free or unlock even more features with premium. That's rocketmoney.com/Hoovie to get started for free. Now, let's go for a drive. Now we pulled out of my neighborhood and gotten down the road a bit. We're at 999,996. And for those of you that haven't been following, I bought this truck from not quite the original owner. Somebody owned it briefly in between, but for the bulk of it, this was originally an oil field hotshot truck, a company that would bring parts out urgently needed to the oil field to get the rigs back going again anywhere across the country, which is why it has astronomical miles on it. And since it needed to be reliable, it was maintained, well, better than a clock, better than anything. And other than maintenance and 2 or 3 transmissions and a lot of front end suspension parts and things, it's original. It is the original engine, verified by the people who just fixed all this stuff. The body, the seats, everything completely original. So considering it has almost 1 million miles on it, it's really, really impressive. We're at 999,997. Oh lordy, 998. 2 miles to go. But the other crazy thing about this truck is it has a tune on it and an intake. We took it to the dyno, and before the injectors and the new fuel system, this thing pulled so hard, it had over 900 pound-feet of torque with a completely stock engine other than a tune and an intake. Stock turbos, everything. Absolutely insane, despite the mileage. So this thing obviously very healthy until it broke catastrophically, the fuel system. But that can happen to any of these. So now we should be getting close to the last mile. Let's see. Turn over to 9. Anytime now. Don't be shy. There's 9. So now we need to reset the trip because I'm told it won't show 1 million miles. So there is the trip reset to get us through the last little bit. 1, 2, 3 tenths of a mile. I was kind of trying to time this to where we could get to our destination for the celebration right on the dot, but we're going to miss it by a few miles. 5, 6. Wouldn't it be amazing if it just blew up right now, just quit like it did last time? Then I would send it to Whistle and Diesel to just blow it up. 7, 8. 9. 1 million miles. Yes. All right. It is over. And I believe, yep. Well, hold on. It went back. It switched. Now it has 999,999 on it. So it gave me a 0. It just went back in time 900,000 miles. So I could sell this thing now as a sub 100,000 mile truck. I wasn't expecting the 0 to pop up there. I don't think it'll change anymore after that though. So it's stuck at all 9s and the 0 at the beginning forever. Good job, you old Ram. Now let's go to the party. Yes, pulling up to the local Ram dealership to turn in my 1 million mile truck for science and then claim my new truck. So where's the balloons? There's a party. Prizes? There's nothing here. Maybe the party's in the back. I'll go look in the back. It's not back here either. Well, at least there's a familiar face. Where's the party?
Well, I mean, we can give you like a high five or a, you know, there is a wrecker there for next million.
I told Dodge that this was going over 1 million miles. They didn't reply. I assumed they'd have something set up for me, but it's
just the wrecker.
The setup's a high five?
A high five and a wrecker at the ready.
Well, you're already dead to me because you moved away. So anyway, I guess nobody cares. It's 1 million miles. It's 099. Well, 1,000,003, but it took a 0 now. I don't know. It's stuck at 0.
It's worth more now that it has less mileage on the odometer.
Yeah, well now it's like an odometer discrepancy because it's broken. So I don't know. Yeah, really nobody cares. I mean, you care.
It's cool. It's pretty cool.
But yeah, nobody cares. Anyway, you got work to do, I'm assuming.
Maybe. I have no idea what I'm doing here.
Sorry. So yeah, nobody cares. I reached out to Cummins and I reached out to Ram, and neither of them even bothered to reply. With Cummins, I mean, it happens every single day probably in their semi, something with a Cummins, an industrial vehicle, going over 1 million miles. So no big deal there. I know they have a program where they give you a plaque or a certificate or something, which I actually filled that form out and didn't get it yet. And well, Ram and Dodge, they've moved on. They don't want to be remembered for trucks like this, you know, it's bad PR. They're building EVs and building hybrids and, you know, trucks that cost $100,000. This does not fit the current mold of what the trucks are today. Basic plastic utility work vehicles that last forever if they're properly taken care of. No, they're not good for the environment, and no, they're not very efficient, but they last a good long time if they don't rust apart. So anyway, I totally get it. Nobody cares that this thing went over 1 million miles, at least up at the corporate bigwigs, which is totally fine. I care. I'm very, very proud of you. I do wish it didn't take $6,000 to drive this thing 6,000 miles though, but we'll see in the future. I know the transmission's strong, the engine very, very strong, the fuel system totally gone through. This should be a pretty good, solvable, reliable workhorse for years to come, but am I going to keep it for years to come? I don't know. There is one person that wants it, Clay Robbins of Robbins Motors in Manhattan, Kansas. He sold me the Gladiator pickup truck and the 392 Jeep Wrangler to my dad. He said this would make a great conversation piece and a plow truck for his dealership for, I don't know, not very much money. I think $5,000 is what he was thinking before I put all the money into the fuel system. So that's not very much, but maybe somebody would pay more. I wonder where else I could take it to for an appraisal. All right, back in the garage with the appraisal right here, and well, we'll get to that in a little bit. I talked about other anniversaries with cars. It is actually the 1-year anniversary with the Ferrari 355 and with my BMW Z8. The Z8 really hasn't had all that much done to it. It's just been a wonderful, incredible car. I drove it back from Houston last year at the Barrett-Jackson auction, which is where I'm at when this video goes live, selling my Hemi Superbird along with a few other cars. That'll be in my next video. And I talked about cars being very expensive to own. The Ferrari was about $20,000 to sort it out after purchasing it, but you can't say it's expensive to own because I bought it cheap knowing I was going to have those issues fixed, and well, it's worth more than what I have into it. The Z8 probably worth about the same. So cars that were very expensive to own, Apollo 911, I've had that car 6 years and have put about 6,000 miles on it, same as the truck, and well, $50,000 into that car. It may be worth 25 on its best day, so that is very expensive mileage. The Mercedes Maybach, which I'm still fighting to get a title for, that car I put a few hundred miles on and have $40-something thousand into it, which is absolutely insane. So there are a lot of bad examples. The GT500 is also coming up on its first birthday, and that car, well, it's worth what I paid for it. I paid a little bit back of MSRP, and it's still worth at least that, so I'm doing pretty well there. If I keep it, though, I imagine it will start depreciating eventually, and then, well, I'll be in trouble, but oh well, I've had fun. But now, well, you guys have been waiting for it. The Dodge Ram 2500 Cummins with 1 million miles that I bought for $11,000, spent another $6,000 to get it to 1 million miles, and well, Carmax offered. Oh, by the way, have you subscribed yet to Hoovie's Garage? That's one thing I forgot to ask. Usually I take my time and milk this for all it's worth, you know? So hit the subscribe button and then I'll reveal it. Have you done it yet? Please? Okay, finally. Thank you. Also, new Hoovie's Garage hoodies, great for this time of year. Very, very soft, very, very nice. And yeah, you want to know how much they offered. It is, well, $1,500. So, yeah. $11,000 for the truck, $6,000 in repairs, 1 million miles, $1,500 according to Carmax. Thanks, but no thanks. And no, I'm not going to sell the truck for anywhere near that. I'm not going to sell it yet. If I do, it'll be no reserve on Cars and Bids, but it won't be anytime soon. It's just handy to have around and seems pretty well sorted. So with that, thank you so much for watching. $1,500?